the main reason why I want to be there is I want to play against the best, and I want to win against the best players in the world. And I think it kind of gave me a little bit of extra hunger to make it.
It's that Julian Story tag, be hungry.
I was getting to play against some of the best amateurs in the country. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. I want to win on the European Tour. I like Thai food a lot.
That was John Catlin, the American professional who has become a regular on the European Tour. It was not long ago when Catlin was just another pro golfer cutting his teeth on tour. 3 wins later in Asia, and he is on the brink of something special. My name is Amit and this is the Curry Power Golf Podcast. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to John and to my co-host Aman. So let's jump right into it. Aman?
Hi John, how's it going?
It's going fantastic. How are you guys?
I'm alright.
All well.
Where did you grow up in America?
Sacramento, California.
Okay.
Yeah,
so are there a lot of golf
grew up
courses
my
there?
whole life. Yeah, a lot of very good golf courses. We were members of a country club there, and been members at the same club for 28 years now. Northridge Country Club is the name of it.
How far were you from San Francisco?
About 2 hours.
And what's the name of that course there? The really famous one, was it the Olympic Club?
Yes.
Did you get to play there?
I have played there. It's a fantastic golf course. They actually redid it not too long ago before I think it was the 2012 U.S. Open they had there at Olympic.
Webb Simpson won, right?
Correct.
Right, yes.
Yeah, they redid it, and I got a chance to play it right after they redid it at the California State Amateur in 2011.
Yes.
It was one of my favorite courses.
Speaking of, the amateur circuit, I noticed that you studied at New Mexico. So when we were sort of looking up your website and stuff, we figured that, you put the years 2009 to 2013. So does that mean you are one of the few professional golfers who actually finished your college education?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's probably more than most people would realize. I mean, Gavin Green was my teammate who's also playing on the European Tour, and he finished his degree, and Victor Perez also plays on the European Tour. He was my teammate. He also finished his degree. So I would say, there's, unless you're like a Jordan Spieth or a Justin Thomas or, a really, really big name or once in a decade kind of talent, I would say more often than not, most guys are finishing their college degree.
How does that change you as a person? That you've actually stayed in college for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, first off, what you're asking in the first part of the question, I think it definitely helped finishing my degree. I studied business management, and I think it's really, really helped me. And because professional golf is kind of like managing a business. So having that business background, kind of understanding how the ins and the outs work, definitely has been helpful. And then back to your second part, as far as seeing people finish, and I think people are starting to realize that it's very, very difficult to make it as a professional golfer, and unlike other sports, where you can kind of come out and be drafted in the NFL or the MLB or the NBA, golf, it kind of restarts. So unless you were like a top 10 ranked amateur in the world, then you're going to get in 7 or 8 PGA Tour sponsors invitations, or maybe you're from Europe and you might get a few spots because you're one of the top ranked amateurs in Europe. If you don't have that, it kind of restarts. Like most of what you did as an amateur doesn't really matter, and that's kind of how it was for me. So I always knew that it was smart to get my degree and then to go on from there. And what was nice is I was on a full scholarship, so I was getting to play, against some of the best amateurs in the country. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, just to name a few. But there's a lot of guys on the PGA Tour that have won that I've played against, and so to have that opportunity was really, really good, and I'm very glad that I stuck it out and had that chance.
Having said that, what's your story in the sense that, once you graduated, did you first try going to Q school, the PGA Tour Q school?
So when I turned professional, it was the first year that the PGA Tour qualifying school was no longer there.
2013, 14.
Yes, so I had to do web.com Tour Q School, which was basically the same as the PGA, but you had to qualify for the web.com.
Yes.
And so I did that in 2013 and 2014. Made
Okay.
it through 3 of the 4 stages on both tries, but didn't make it through. And it was just a very, very costly endeavor. I mean, with hotels and caddies and food and all of that, I probably spent over $20,000. So it just didn't seem like a very.
And I'm guessing that you're at this time in your life which you're basically bankrolling yourself because you're
Right.
just yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any big sponsors or people paying my way. This was all coming out of pocket, and I had done my best to save the money I could when I was in college, but I didn't have large sums of cash, and so that
Yeah.
obviously put me kind of behind the 8 ball doing that. And but it was nice. I won a tournament at the end of 2013 on the Gateway Tour. That definitely helped there, and I played very well. The end of the year
Since
2013,
you
middle of the year
mentioned the Gateway Tour, I'm
2014.
going to just interject for a second.
Yeah.
I remember when Jason Duffner had won the PGA Championship, he was on the Howard Stern radio show, and there was this really hilarious story that he talked about, his days from the mini tours, which one day 5,000 guys just turn up or whatever, 500 guys just turn up, and it's like a $5,000 per person entry fee, and they've all paid all their entry fees online, but the promoter is nowhere to be seen, and the tournament is just called off. So he's like, weird stuff like that used to happen once in a while, or stories of spending nights in cars just driving from cities to cities. So I mean,
Right.
I'm sure you already seen that sort of life.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I saw it
Yeah.
on the ADT when I played it. I saw it on PGA Tour Canada. I was staying with host families. I was splitting rental cars between 2 and 3 guys. I was making my lunch for the golf course, buying bread and peanut butter and jelly or, turkey or whatever, making my breakfast in the hotel room, just doing whatever I could to save money. And
Yeah.
so I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that. And I think it kind of gave me a little bit extra hunger to, make it.
Just it's that Julian Story tag, we hungry, that I think it's
Yeah.
that song. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I've seen
similar to
that.
that.
He posts that a lot, and yeah, it's good. For a guy who's had so much success that he still kind of has that drive. I can definitely relate to that. I still have a very, very strong drive to be successful, and I want to win. I want to win on the European tour. So that's my next goal.
So coming to that, so Catlin, you have played all over the world. Like you started with Canada, Mackenzie Tour, then you went on to shift your base to Southeast Asia. So how did that happen?
Yeah, of course. So you guys have obviously done some stuff with my coach as well, and he was a very, very big part of that. He was the one that kind of encouraged me to do it. I was kind of against it, to be honest. I was kind of a little bit afraid of it. It was a new experience. I didn't know much about Asia, and we talked about it for a while, and he definitely kind of helped me along with that. And I went over for Q school and the end of 2014 and qualified and played my first year on the Asian Tour, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The people were nice. The cost of living was obviously much lower, and I like Thai food a lot. I like a lot of Asian food, on top of Thai food as well, and so that wasn't too bad. The heat was definitely a big thing. It's obviously a lot hotter in Southeast Asia than it is in California. I 100% agree, and I think that's something that I'm kind of having to learn a little bit with playing in Europe. Last week in Denmark, it didn't get above. I don't think it got above 11 Celsius pretty much the whole week, and it was blowing 20 miles an hour, and there was some rain we had to play through as well. And I'm full swinging drivers into the wind, and it's going 240. So it definitely takes a lot of adjustment getting used to that for sure.
And since we're on this topic of making adjustments, and since you've played tournaments on the PGA Tour, not to mention that you've grown up with these guys, like Jordan or with Justin, what's really the greatest difference? What's the differentiating factor? Is it that these guys just have better ball flights? Do they have more shots in the bag? like the difference between someone who says in the top 30 in the world right now versus a top 150 guy? What's the how are they separated?
I would say the biggest difference I saw is their mishits are just better. The
Okay.
courses that you play at this level, you have to have a very small margin of error, and they still give you margin. They still give you, you can hit to the fat side of the pins, and the greens are good enough. You can hole 30-footers, but the guys that win, week in, week out, win multiple majors, their misses are just they'll push it 15 feet right of the pin and be a little bit, kind of flustered at that. Whereas, guys, on other tours that might not be the case. So,
Okay. Okay.
I would just say they're just, their misses are just a little bit tighter.
But we've been noticing in the last couple of years, there have been a lot of
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
all the top guys. Amit, you want to go ahead with this?
yeah. We have seen
Yeah.
that. Like they have mixed bags. They prefer mixed bag. Everyone is doing that. All top players are doing that. So
Everyone's playing, like a mix set. I mean, our guy here in India, Shivankar Sharma, still got a mix set. I'm sure with his kind of success last year, there were a bunch of companies that probably reached out to him. We've already seen a
Right.
bunch of equipment stories of, how people are basically lining up outside Brooks Koepka's house now, literally, because he's won 4 majors.
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, I would say I'm definitely seeing that more, and I think it's nice that we can kind of thank Tiger Woods for this. The fact that prize money has, since I would say about 2000, has almost tripled. So
Yeah.
playing for that much money, it's like the companies almost can't really keep up with the amount of money that you can make by playing
Yes.
something that you truly believe in. And
Yes.
all of my clubs in my bag, I believe in 100%. If I didn't and I had to do something about it, maybe I would go to a different setup in my bag. But right now, I love everything about what I play.
Pablo Larrazabal, the Spanish guy, when he said that, when he first got onto tour, when he was just, like this raw talent without any wins, he said it was very frustrating because back in 2006-07, he just wasn't getting any spots, to play. And he said once that first breakthrough win came, that was so satisfying because I suddenly started getting spots to play everywhere. So, is that like a situation you're ideally envisioning for yourself going forward, at least, with the European Tour and the PGA Tour?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I kind of in a similar thing is, I got those starts early in the year and I was able to play well, but I didn't really play well enough to deserve more. So the big thing I'm kind of in with is back to my main goal of winning on the European Tour. I think that'll kind of
Yeah.
open up doors for more spots as well on PGA Tour events.
Okay, this is a
right.
very casually thrown question, but if you could give us any insight, where is it really harder to win? Is it the European Tour or the PGA Tour?
Oh, phew. It's just different. Like I don't think you're kind of comparing apples and oranges. Like I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
they're both very, very, very difficult tours. The caliber of play is very, very high on both tours, and I just don't think I can really ever compare them. To be honest, I think they're both. It's difficult on both.
okay, okay. Could
So
you could
coming,
you
yeah,
maybe pinpoint out, any incidences, like last year it's difficult to win 3 times on any tour. I mean,
Mm.
let's lay down that first of all. So could you remember an incident or a particular day leading up to the play that led to these 3 wins? Was it? I mean, it's like how golfers say that you just spend X number of hours on the sweaty range and you suddenly realize that, okay, you know what, I've got it. I figured this out in my swing. You call up your coach and you'll be like, I think I figured this out. And this leads on a lovely train of say 6 or 7 weeks of, top tens, and you get closer and closer. And then you maybe try and seal the deal one week because, a few more putts start falling. Or was it, was there like a click? Was there like a moment last year which you really felt that, stood out?
No, I don't think there's ever really been a moment. I think it's been years of hard work.
Okay.
Me and my coach have been putting in some pretty solid work now for over 5 years, and um, it just took me a little longer than maybe I would have liked to. But once I kind of had the reps and the confidence, and playing a full year on the ADT and winning a couple of times out there helped
Yeah.
as well, and just knowing that I could win. Uh, because it's not easy to do. I mean, there's guys that have had great careers as professional golfers that haven't won maybe the events that they would have liked to, and so it's very difficult to do. And I knew that, so I knew I had to put in the work. I knew I wasn't going to win just because I thought I was special. I had to be out there working on my game and bettering myself.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of, I mean, you've been with Noah Montgomery for quite some time now, 5+ years.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like a day and age of digital. So it's not really that Noah has to be there with you all the time. When you're traveling to, say, a remote part of Japan or wherever. So do you
Right.
guys rely a lot on video calls and you just sending him a lot of video and you guys just discussing and talking back and forth?
No, we actually, I send him a video every now and then if I'm stumped. But the nice thing about us is we're we're more of a believer in, me understanding my swing and understanding what
Okay.
causes mishits and understanding what causes shots to go right and right by, I don't mean right
And
as right of
for
target. I
example,
mean
being
right as
able to fix
correct.
your swing right in the middle of tournament play, I think
Correct.
that's the ultimate objective.
Correct. And that's something that he's very, very good at and has equipped me very well to do.
Okay. Amit, I'm going to ask you to take over. We had like one, say, controversial question for you because it was a tweet that you had retweeted. So, we thought we'd ask you what you think about it since it's such a big debate today.
Okay.
Uh, uh, it
Yeah.
was the elder
Am I
Molinari brother
stepping am I
who.
stepping into a trap here?
No, 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 not at all, not at all. We'll let you
No,
be the
not
judge
at
of
all.
that.
Okay.
The elder Molinari brother, he put out that tweet about slow play,
Mm.
Yeah.
and
And there's
just
been a lot of talk on
yeah.
slow play. And do you think it should be addressed, or the game should be the same however it is going on? Like it has been going on like that for so long. But now due to digital age and a lot of complaints, players are opening up about it, which did
Yeah.
not happen earlier.
Right. So are you
So what
asking me
do
kind
you
of what
think
I
about,
think about the
what's
pace
your
of play issue?
opinion and what can be done to make
What
the
are
game a
your
little bit
thoughts
faster?
on making it faster? Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I think, what's interesting about it is that the pace of pay regulations differ from tour to tour. Like, what the Asian tour policy is different from the European tour, is different from the PGA tour. Uh, European tour, the moment you fall behind, whether you're 2 minutes behind or you're a whole hole behind or you're 2 holes behind, they immediately put you on the clock. Like there's no
Yeah.
warning, there's no pickup, pickup with the group in front of you. It's just you're on the clock, and if you get 2 bad times, you're fined. So I mean, they're very, very strict about it. They're on their A game, and Eduardo posted that, and that kind of shows a little bit of like who's maybe had multiple bad times or how many times everyone's been on the clock. But I mean,
Yep.
some of that is a little bit frustrating too, because it's like it literally, if somebody has a bad hole, the next hole or the hole after that, you're probably going to end up being on the clock because a bad hole just takes longer. And then you end up rushing, being put on the clock, and then you get to a reachable par five and you're waiting.
Yeah.
So I think it's always going to be difficult when you got 144 or 156 guys and everyone's playing in threesomes, and you put them on difficult golf courses, and you put
And
pins
then you
20
have your
20
weather
paces
delays and
on and three
sticky
three paces
weather
to the
and
right. Yeah. There's so many variables. Pace of play is always better over the weekend than it is the first 2 rounds. That's just a given. So yeah, I think it's a difficult issue, and I think that one thing, I was talking with David Howell about this at British Masters, and I thought this
okay.
was actually a very interesting thing, is doing away with the honor system and just whoever gets to the tee first tees off first.
Yeah.
Because that can waste a lot of time. You get a guy that walks up ahead and gets to the tee, and that's
And then you're
30
just waiting for
seconds,
the
a
other guy
minute.
back on the green to grind for his par,
Right,
but he's
right.
and he's got
But
the
but
honor. Yeah.
but he has the honor. He has to walk up to the tee. If it's a par three, he has to do his yardage. If it's a par four, maybe he's adjusting for a different club. So I mean, that can add a minute to 2 minutes on each hole. That, extrapolate that over 4 rounds, and all of a sudden we've added quite a bit of time over something that is just doesn't really need to be the case. So I thought that was, or changing the honor, like making the guy that's on the first, that gets to the tee first, has the honor. Whether he made a bogey, whether he made a birdie, whatever he made on the previous hole is irrelevant. He gets to the tee first, he has the honor. So, I mean, I think it's, that was what David said. David said that, the person that gets to the tee first should have the honor. And I'm almost thinking, do we really even need the honor system? Just whoever gets their first tees off, ready golf kind of a thing.
Yes.
But that can always be tough too if you get there and people are looking at each other like who's supposed to go first. It's like
that's actually a really good idea. I mean,
there's
one simplified idea at a time.
There's a little bit of strategy involved in that too. But I think David was spot on in the fact that the honor system could change. Whoever gets to the tee first has the honor. I think that.
Okay, I have one last question for you. And considering that you're a California boy yourself, when you say California golf, the first 3 names anyone thinks of is Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Johnny Miller. So who, growing up, who were your influences?
Tiger Woods has always been the guy that I've always watched. He's the way that he plays the game, the way that he works at his game, the way that he's fearless and takes on shots and is able to make the clutch putt or the clutch shot when he has to. I just, no one that I've ever seen has had that kind of capability to close a tournament out the way that he does and to dominate fields the way that he did. So he was always the guy I looked up to the most.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone has like their own Tiger story. I'm, like I would say, for example, the one time that I actually did watch, I probably stayed up for like 15 straight hours in India all night, and we watched the 2008 US Open, the one that he won on the broken knee.
I was there.
So, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was there. I watched that. I was there on Friday and Saturday. I had to go to a tournament Sunday, so I didn't get a chance to see the finish, but I was there.
So you watched that 50-foot downhill putt? I think that was on Friday or something.
13.
Right?
I was standing. It was on Saturday on the par 5. I believe it's 13. And he hit it in the back of the green. And I'm not kidding you. If that putt didn't go in, it was probably going 50 yards off the front of the green.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
But
so
he just gets it done.
I guess we can round it off by maybe a couple of general comments about what you think about your play so far in 2019, and what are your goals for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would say that this year I've played well. I've definitely had spurts where I've played some very good golf. Just looking for a little more consistency at this higher level. Like I said, the room for error is just smaller on these golf courses, and I'm just having to step up my game, which I've always liked stepping up. I've always liked a challenge. Going from junior golf to college golf, college golf, a little bit of amateur golf, professional golf, various levels of professional golf. You're always kind of having to step up, adjust, get better. And I think that's kind of what I'm in. I think I'm kind of in a little bit of a transitional period, realizing the areas of my game that need to improve and trying to improve those as fast and, as well as I can.
So will you be coming back to Hero Indian Open next year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll for sure have a spot. As long as I'm not playing on the PGA Tour and there's a tournament that conflicts, I'll be there.
On that note, let's say goodbye to John, who is flying to BMW International Open in Germany. All the best, John.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.